This past spring, I spent 2 months in Jingdezhen, China, on an art residency sponsored by the Taoxishuang International Studios. They provided me an apartment and a studio. I was the first resident in this particular studio. A nice big rolling table, drying rack, and a balcony looking out into a triangular courtyard. This building was full of apartments similar to this, different sizes, different studios within them. And I had a water closet at the back for cleaning brushes. I was there to work on music, video, painting, and ceramics. So I was there as a multimedia artist. And in this studio, I would be primarily doing painting and music, keeping away the dust generated from the ceramics. The program's very interesting in that at the time I was there were 45 international artists, and you get to meet artists doing great work from all over the place. And the whole idea is to really focus on your art. The first three paintings I did was this series of bonsai trees. There was a bonsai just outside of the complex, with construction happening everywhere. I began doing a series of acrylic studies because it was the year of the dragon. I was trying to make them appear as dragon scales. What I was really ultimately seeking was to be able to simulate what I wanted to do in the glazes of the ceramic tiles I hoped to paint. I would take these sketches, these acrylic paintings, to the glaze masters and try to get them to match up glazes that would at least put me in this direction. I was playing around with motifs of dragon scales and reptilian sort of looks. I was carving sponges and making templates. But I really enjoyed this, and it was mainly just a vehicle to dive into painting right away. This is a version of one of those that I did much larger when I got back. The very first image I did of the dragon symbol, I ended up doing many different paintings and basing ceramics on it. I got to see a lot of the local countryside and the town itself, venturing out as far as Yaoli ancient town for a few days of R&R. I wanted to gift them something that I had originally done in my children's book, The Dragon's Pearl. In that book, I did this large dragon waterscape. However, now I wanted to do it much larger, so I did a 7-foot version, incorporating what I know now. So the painting became much, much better than my illustration from 30 years ago. The idea was to depict a beneficial water dragon in the year of the dragon, surrounded by the reflection of the moon illuminating its head. This is Dongbu Bridge. I ended up doing a painting of this bridge, the background done in China, and then the foreground bridge I painted while I was back. This is a landscape I did while I was there, along the Li River. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. 你好.
你好.
The first real departure in painting for me came in this painting, where I was making a painting resembling the eyes of the West looking at the East. The technology in China is amazing, and they are a number of years ahead of us, both in lighting and in technology in general. Here's a couple of collages I did on the Red Lantern, a very famous Chinese opera. So this was my first experience painting bisqueware and loading kilns and all of that. So I had fun experimenting with glazes. I enjoyed all of the results. So um, I found it very fun to just dive in and see what would come. And without expectations, I didn't have any disappointments. These two discs were tests. A friend had asked me to do a large ceramic painted disc for him. So I did these two studies just to see how it felt to work in a flat circular tile. I wanted them to resemble sort of celestial bodies, planets, perhaps with cloud cover. I was very happy that some of the dragon scale imagery was still coming through in the glazes. Now, because you're working with feldspar and all these neat minerals, you get some crystallization patterns happening. And again, as this was all experimentation, I didn't have any predetermined results in my head, so I wasn't disappointed. In all, I produced some 30 tiles and about 7 ramen cups, 4 noodle dishes, um, but had a real lot of fun doing it. And I will now branch into ceramics. One of the most interesting things happens in the accidents, and I found areas where I brushed or spilt the glaze reacted differently. And the templates and patterns I was using within the glaze also had a three-dimensional quality once it was fired. And all of these things, the glass on top, they just added a tactile sense that was very foreign to me, having worked most of my life in acrylic paint. I also did a number of pressed little glazed tiles that were based on 18th century book plates on chiropractic medicine. Since I've come back, I've given some talks on my residency and the experience in China. I also made a couple of bricks. I wanted to do dragon bricks that I could perhaps cast into my building, and I do believe I'll do that. The interesting thing is when I inverted one of them, you could see a swan or a phoenix. So there was this male-female duality to the symbol. Vivek and I created a styrofoam carving that we used to print off many, many different copies, and we sold these at the art fair there. I brought a number of them back so I can use them in various installations now. The final piece I did was begun in China and finished here, and it was on the symbol of water, the ancient symbol of water. So again, using these reptilian, sub-aquatic shapes and patterns, I came up with that large banner. Thank you for listening.